What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and I really wish my internet wasn't so screwed up right now to where I couldn't upload the last two videos for Atlanta United because, well, frankly, tonight proved a lot of what I was saying. So yeah, now those videos out of context are going to look really weird, well, at least based on tonight. Because, yeah, I talked about in the last game my frustrations, how I felt like, formation wasn't really helping us, you weren't resting the right players, all that stuff. And then we get to tonight's game against Real Salt Lake, and honestly, it really showed. Just, first of all, switch of formation. Everything looks so much more clean this way. I don't understand why even switch it. Why are we not just keeping this formation? It works so well with the players that we have. Because we have players that fit that back three system so well. We have either Parkey or Jeff to be that center in the three. So we got a very smart defensive player in the middle of the three. And then we've got players like Perez or Escobar or McCann, Robinson even, defenders that can be good defenders at times but also have their moments of mistakes. So whenever they do make the mistake, you've got the smart defender behind them to cover those mistakes. And it makes everybody's job in the back easier. So now we're more structured defensively. And then on top of that, like I said, you put Julian Gressel, who normally is just kind of an average player, you put him out on the right wing back, and all of a sudden he turns into a great player. He turns into a man of the match player with a goal, and people are saying an assist. Technically not an assist because it was an own goal, not Tito's goal. I don't know why everyone's calling it Tito's goal. Even the MLS app called it Tito's goal. It hit the post and then hit Ramondo and then went in. That's an own goal. Anyway, but I mean, he turned up again. He was completely just useless in the game against who do we play last? San Jose. He was completely useless in that game. He had, the one assist was about the only thing he did, and honestly, it was just a crossfield ball that Tito did well to strike and put it in the back of the net. Aside from that, he wasn't really useful. Tonight, man of the match. Good goal. He was effective defensively and offensively. He was making good runs down the line. He was getting back and helping out defensively too. He is a right wing back. But you can't play him there if you're playing a 4-2-3-1. Because it doesn't work. It only works if you go with a back three, a midfield four, and a front three. And then on top of all of that, you've got so much more fluidity when you have a front three like this. Because it's not people making runs and cutting each other off. It's just they all make the runs wherever they need to go. And there's so much space up there for them to run. There's so many lanes for them to cut in between. It just looks so easy when we have a front three compared to when there's a front four and the defense is packed back. There are no lanes to run into. Most of the time, Joseph will just stay up top instead of checking back and letting Tito or Miguel get in behind him. It's just, I don't understand why people in the coaching staff can't see this, can't see the effectiveness of this, and say, look, Tata, I realize you like your 4-2-3-1 formation, but this formation suits our team the best. To the point where we don't even have our best defender. Well, some people may not see him as the best defender. I see him as our best defender because he's the smartest defender we have. We don't have him in. We've got Escobar, who, in my opinion, had one of his worst games against San Jose. You've got George Bello starting in his first MLS game. As a left wing back on top of that, you've got some switches to the lineup, but it doesn't matter because the formation is solid enough. It allows for mistakes to happen without giving up all these chances. And Real Salt Lake is not an easy team. They're not a pushover team like San Jose is. And yet we limited them to like 2 good chances throughout the entire game. And I look back to the Colorado game. We limited them to so few chances, like 2 or 3 throughout the entire game. And then you look at the San Jose game where we had the back four. And even some people will say, well, they were tired. The defense was tired. Parkhurst was tired. I'll grant you that. They were probably a little legged, but even after the changes were made, even after you took off certain players and brought on more energy and more speed, there was still a lot of open spaces in the back. So you made your changes, and still we were giving up a ton of chances, even though we were creating more chances on the other side. This game, the Colorado game, proves the 3-4-3 formation is our best formation. We've got to stick to it because it brings out the best in our players. It's a formation that suits the players that we have, and it allows for us to make some mistakes without giving up chances and goals. It allows us to be more solid defensively, and we're still able to be as fluid in the attack as if we had the front four, if not more so sometimes. So, with all that being said, let's talk about individuals. Brad in goal didn't have a whole lot to do aside from some passing here and there. He did have 2 saves. One of them, honestly, was really good, like really, really good. The shot came in. He steps one way, deflects back the other way, so he has to now get across and make a diving save. Very impressive. I mean, honestly, from where we sit behind the goal on the other side from the supporters, and so we got to see it like across the field, and we had like just a perfect view looking at it straight on. And when I saw it pop up like that, I'm like, oh, that's going in. And then all of a sudden, here comes the hands and just right on it. And I'm just like, okay, attaboy Brad. So very impressive save. And then just overall, very commanding in the back. I mean, it's just comfortable having a keeper with his experience. The back three, Perez probably had one of his best games of the season. Just very confident. He's a player that I haven't really talked a whole lot about, but he started off the season so poor. I remember thinking, God, what are we going to do with him? And now he's actually become one of our more reliable, if not one of our most reliable, probably our most reliable defender. Just because, Michael's had a little bit of a drop-off with all these games coming so quickly. Perez has just stayed consistent through all of it. So honestly, I've been very, very impressed. Obviously, he's got the physical ability to do all of this, but now he's starting to get the mental ability to do it as well. And having an experienced defender, an experienced keeper to help him through all of this, I feel like it's helped him really grow as a defender. And now he's playing really, really well, and I'm glad we have him. Jeff had to sort of convert. It's not necessarily a position he's not used to, because typically when we played the 4-2-3-1, this is where he would drop. Whenever we had possession, he'd drop and become a part of a back three. But that's him dropping from the midfield, and I don't know, it just doesn't really work out as well as him just staying there. Now, there were a few moments where he got lucky, not really tracking runs coming in behind him, but they ended up straying offside, so it felt like he wasn't really always aware of what was going on behind him. And some of that is down to a lack of communication, which, this back three hasn't really played together ever. So I'm going to grant a little bit of leeway for that. But overall, his work rate and his ability to command the defense was pretty impressive from a player who generally will stay in the midfield. And then Escobar, coming off of that horrid game against San Jose, definitely looks a bit more solid as a part of a back three instead of the fullback having to get up and down the line. I just think he doesn't really have the ability to do both. To be in the attack and also get back on defense. I think he just needs to stay in the defense. Because, I don't know, he's not having to track back as much, which means he's not running his legs out as much. It just seems more comfortable for him to be a defender instead of being a fullback. And then the wingbacks, I already talked about Julian a bit. Once again, just shows this is a position he needs to play. The goal was very well taken. But aside from just the goal and then the kind of assist from the throw-in, he just worked his butt off. And it shows just how comfortable he is to be in that position when he's able to get up and down the line as much as he does. Because honestly, he's not the fastest player. He's not the fastest player. He's not the quickest player. And so you would think a player like him would have difficulty, similar to how Chris has been on the left wing back position, would have difficulty at that position, but because he knows when to get up and when to stay, it really feels like he's just born to play that position. Like, he knows naturally what to do, whether we have the ball or we don't. So I don't know what else to say. I feel like I've said about as much as I need to prove the point that we need him out on the right side. We need him to play the wingback position. I feel like I need to start a petition saying, "Hey, Tata, keep him." I'm very tired, in case you couldn't tell. Now I'm spitting all over myself. Wow. It's the first time that's ever happened in a video. So anyway, as I was saying, yes, Julian out on the right, perfect. George Bello on the left side, first start for him, and honestly, he impressed. I was really impressed with what he showed on both sides of the ball too, and that's something where when he first got announced in the starting lineup, I'm thinking to myself, okay, is he going to be that wing back that mainly is just focused on the attack? He's just getting down and helping out up there, but defensively he's going to be lacking. Honestly, he did the defensive side of the work too. I don't remember number seven's name for Salt Lake, but he was up against him all night, and he was a pretty clever player to have to defend against. He did his job. Now, the one thing I will say about George is he's not strong. He's kind of a smaller kid, which makes sense. He's only 16. But that would only really come into play if he was having to defend against somebody that's a lot bigger. Because he was able to defend against that guy really well, but that guy was kind of his size, so it wasn't too hard. But you did see there were a couple times when he got down the line and he tried to take somebody on, one of the defenders that was bigger than him, and he generally would get bodied off the ball pretty easily. So he just needs to avoid probably dribbling as much, try to get the ball out from his feet, find the space a bit more, and defensively, just keep doing what you're doing. Work hard, keep poking the ball away, keep players from getting that space in behind you, because honestly, that's what he did well, and I was impressed. And especially because Chris hasn't been playing that position very well. He's much more suited to the back three than he is the wings. And then on top of that, Greg is still out for a while. Hernandez has just come back into the team, and I didn't see a whole lot from him when he came off the bench. Honestly, this could be a position that George, all of a sudden, he steps in at 16, and this is his position now. So we'll see what happens, but I was thoroughly impressed for his first starting debut. Then you've got the two in the middle, Eric and Darlington Nagbe. Probably our best midfield pairing right now, just because they're both such hard workers. Now, if the midfielders on the other side were a bit bigger, I think they might have some more trouble. Which, I'll be honest, the midfield did have a couple big guys, and there were times when our midfield did get beat out. But there's so much speed in there that they can really track down runners. They can really do a good job of making sure the ball doesn't get behind them and stay behind them. They both do a good job of putting themselves in front of it and keeping them going wide instead of being able to play around in the middle. So I was fully impressed with them again. It's the same way I felt at Colorado. I just felt like they both do that job very well. And I don't know. It's one of those difficult decisions where I really like Jeff in the midfield, but at the same time, he doesn't really have the pace that these two do. So do you trade out pace for strength? Do you trade out defensive capability for attacking capability? I feel like you can really play around with that depending on what you need in that situation. So we'll see what happens there. But both of them had, I would say, if one had a better game, it would probably be Eric, just because he did a lot more to shut down the counterattack coming back at us, which is always good to have. But he did a very good job of stepping in, reading plays, and cutting off passes. Darlington, obviously, on the ball looks very good, but sometimes he kind of gets just into a groove where he's just doing some simple stuff. And it's not stuff that you notice, which I don't really mind, but Eric does the stuff that really, it helps out the rest of the team. It keeps the defense from having to work so hard when he steps in and wins it like he does. Then you go to the front three. Tito had a bit better game. Part of it was he was on the side that he's more comfortable with. But I just thought, overall, he was much more effective on the ball. Because there are times whenever he's working very hard and he's on the ball a lot, but he's not effective. The passes aren't coming off, the shots aren't coming off. He's wasting opportunities. Tonight, it definitely felt a lot more effective. It felt like he was creating better chances. It felt like he was more dangerous, so the defense had to work harder to shut him down, which is great. You don't always have to get a shot off or have a goal to be effective. Sometimes it's just wearing out the defense and letting your teammates, have the goals. So I was really glad with him tonight, even though he didn't, obviously the own goal that technically was from his shot was really the one main thing that I noticed, but there was a lot of other little things that I do remember him being involved in, whether it was holding onto the ball, whether it was tracking something down and poking the ball away. He did put in a good shift, so I was impressed. Miguel, back to same old Miguel I'm used to seeing. Same for Joseph. Both of them I thought were pretty ineffective against San Jose. Joseph was just kind of stagnant and not really the same movement-oriented Joseph that we've come to get used to. And Miguel just wasn't really getting his teammates involved. It was very kind of selfish from time to time. So tonight was much more back to the same old from this season, not last season that we've gotten to see. Joseph, a lot of movement from him, a lot more free to step back in the midfield without cutting off somebody's lanes. I just feel like he's much more comfortable in this formation just because it allows him to be on the ball more often, which I think he wants to be. I think he wants to get involved and get a touch on it. He doesn't want to be the isolated striker waiting for the midfielders to send him a through ball. He wants to get back into the midfield and try to set up the play. And whenever you have an attacking midfielder right behind him in that 4-2-3-1, it doesn't allow him to get on the ball as often. So that's something else to look at. Aside from that, you look at the subs that came on. Hernandez, like I said, didn't really see much from him. Defensively, he had a couple good challenges, and attack-wise, I think I remember him sending in one ball that was kind of dangerous. But aside from that, just nothing that really stuck out to me and made me think, yes, he's what we need on the left wing. I saw a lot more of that from George than I did him. Then Ezekiel came on for Tito, just, fresh legs, which is good. And Miles came on for Perez, probably also giving him a break just because he's played, 180 minutes this past week, so I could understand him being a bit tired. Both of them just came on. They filled out the roles. They did what they were supposed to till the end of the game, so not really much to talk about there. It was another sign to me that this is the formation we need to stick with. I don't know what else the team can do to show that. And it's something that's kind of concerning because it feels like all we've got to do is go into the first round of playoffs and play this 4-2-3-1 formation that is terrible defensively, and we give up a ton of goals, and we might not be able to score because the teams we'll be facing are going to be better than San Jose, and we end up getting knocked out of playoffs in the first round because Tata's too stubborn to switch the formation. I don't understand. In my mind, I want to set up my team to be the best that they can be to win games, and to do that with this team is to have that 3-4-3 formation. And yet, it's still not changing. Nothing's changing about that. So, I don't know. I've said all I can say. I've said my bit about it. So, I apologize if this video is a little bit off. I realized, I was kind of stumbling over words. I spit up on myself, which never happens. Like I said, I'm tired. It's now, oh wait a minute, 12:30, midnight. Awesome. Yeah, I got home pretty late, so I apologize about this, and I apologize also about the fact that I haven't gotten a chance to upload the past two videos. I don't know what's going on with the internet. Hopefully I can get it fixed and get all three of these videos uploaded at about the same time so people aren't just like, well, where's the San Jose game? Well, where's the Real Salt Lake game? I'm going to get them all uploaded, and I'm probably going to post them at the exact same time so that way people kind of understand, okay, so he had all these videos ready. But yeah, so that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.